All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Mossad Middle School's curriculum night for our incoming fifth grade students and families. Before we get started this evening, I do want to remind you that there is a tab that you should find on the Zoom screen that is a Q&A feature. We're going to be utilizing that throughout the evening. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A portion of the Zoom meeting, and we will try to get to those either throughout the meeting or definitely leave some time at the end of the meeting for any questions that you might have and hopefully answers that we have for you. So again, welcome to everyone. I want to introduce our administrative team. My name is Michael Jack. I'm one of the principals at Mossad Middle School. With us this evening as well is Mrs. Lindsay Love, one of the other principals, and Mrs. Melissa Cheslock. Again, they are going to be with us this evening, kind of looking at that Q&A feature, answering some of the questions as I go through the slide presentation. And again, hopefully at the end, we will have some time for questions and answers. We did want to introduce our administrative assistant team and our school counseling team at this time. Hopefully you will be working very closely with all three teams here once your son or daughter moves to Mossad Middle School next year. So again, I won't read everybody's name and information, but you can see right now, we do have Miss Dumnich, actually it's Miss Nave now, and Miss Oliver in our main office. And then our counseling team, and again, we call it a team. We do assign our counselors to a grade level just for a touch point so that you know who to contact first. But please understand that all four of our counselors, as well as the social worker that's in our building, works with any and all students in grades 5 through 8. So when your child is at Mossad Middle School, they can go to anyone that they feel comfortable with. If they need to speak to somebody, again, they are all available. They are in we call it our guidance suite. So they are in the same rooms. They have each of their own little offices within that room. Again, as your touch point, the person that you're going to be seeing as your child moves to Mossad Middle School will be Mr. Richard Taylor. Again, you'll see him at some of our orientations here in the summer. So if you do not know Mr. Taylor, you will get to know him fairly well as the school year finishes and the summer begins. We did want to share with you the bell schedule. As with any year throughout the summer, we will look to tweak or change anything that we've used in the previous year if we can better it. So if we can add some instructional time to this, we will. But just so that you are aware of what your child may be seeing next year as they go through their day at Mossad Middle School, this is the current bell schedule that our students 5 through 8 are utilizing this year. You can see students will begin arrival at 7:45. We do allow for 20 minutes for that arrival process. And this is due to the fact that as we're bringing in over 1,000 students into the building, obviously metal detectors, grab and go breakfast, making sure that students just start their day, get things from their locker, etc. We want to make sure that they have enough time to do this, as well as we're unloading 25 buses and have parent drop-offs. This gives us adequate time to get everybody to homeroom on time and ready to start their day. As you can see this year, our periods are 41 minutes in length outside of a 30-minute lunch. And the students' dismissal does begin at 2:50. Again, this will be subject to change as we move into the next school year, but this will give you an idea of, again, what your child will expect as they're entering into Mossad next year. We do operate, as you saw, on a 9-period-a-day bell schedule, one of those periods being lunch. Right now, your child will have a double period of math and a double period of ELA built into their schedule. They will also have a single period of science and a single period of social studies, which obviously gives them 6 of their 9 academic periods. They will have 2 periods of elective classes at each grade level, and we'll talk about those in a few minutes. All grade levels, again, have predetermined elective classes. So at the 5th grade level, they won't be making choices as of yet. They will have those built-in classes that complete their schedule, with the exception of music. And again, we will get to that choice or that option that each of your children will have next year as they start MSSAD. And again, we've already addressed lunch periods are 30 minutes in length. Here's a sample schedule. So basically just what we went over, just kind of in a charted or a scheduled format. Again, please, when you're looking at 5th grade, this does not mean that your child will have ELA 1st and 3rd period. It is just a sample schedule as to how each of those class periods will fit in. So all of the classes that we spoke of, ELA, math, social studies, and science, are listed, as well as both elective classes. Now you can see their electives that they will be taking, their mandatory elective rotation. They will have a 9-week or grading period worth of physical education, of general music, art, and technology. And technology you'll see on their schedule as digital fluency. Again, art specials, unlike the elementary level, don't occur once a week, but instead they will occur every day for an entire grading period. So if your child has phys ed for the first grading period, they will have phys ed for 45 days straight, and then they will switch as soon as we switch to the 2nd quarter into their next elective rotation. We do have a program of studies that is listed right now and available on our website under school information for 22-23. Basically, this program of studies talks about the different course offerings for each grade level. Specific to your son or daughter, though, to 5th grade, I will explain a little bit as to what they will be expecting for their math, science, social studies, and ELA classes, as well as those 4 elective classes that we spoke of. Just so that you have an idea of how your child will progress through MSSAD Middle School, next year in 5th grade, just for the ease of transition, because it is a big move from the neighborhood elementary school into our middle school. Every child will be given ELA 5. The course is just a grade 5 ELA class. They will, and they being the teachers, will differentiate as needed for students that need that enrichment and students that need that remediation within the classroom. Again, the ELA class is a double period, so there is plenty of time to not only meet the writing and reading demands of the class, but also that remediation or enrichment as needed. Once they move out of 5th grade, and this is just something to look forward to after next year, in 6th grade, we will have 2 ELA course offerings, a 6 and a 6A. 6A is our de facto honors course. So again, students will have that option in 6th grade as well as 7th grade. Again, those classes are double periods in length, but again, the pacing is a little bit different, as well as just the rigor in the classes based off of the students' performance, not only in the class in 5th grade, but also on their tests, so benchmark testing as well as state testing. And then you can see in 8th grade, we do have 2 options. The biggest difference in 8th grade is if your son or daughter would be in the honors 8th grade class, that is only 1 period in length, so they would have the option at that time to take a foreign language, at this time, Spanish 1. You can see very similarly, we have the same setup in math for 5th grade. We have that same belief that we're gonna treat all of our incoming 5th graders with a little bit more care as they're coming in because of that transition piece. And again, then based off of their performance, we're going to remediate or enrich as appropriate within the classroom next year. As they progress through 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, you can see the different course offerings. The A classes, again, being our honors courses, and then math being a little bit more class or content specific. Students are able to then take algebra and or geometry as they progress, depending again on test scores and their performance in their past classes and math classes. The mandatory elective rotations, I've already spoken about the 4 classes that are possible for our 5th graders to take. And again, they will get all 4 of these courses. They might not be in the order that was shown on the sample schedule, or obviously the order that they're currently in. But please understand, all 5th graders will receive, again, art, general music, PE, and digital fluency 5. The mandatory elective rotations will continue on throughout 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. As you can see, as the students progress through Mossad Middle School, the names of the courses and hopefully the rigor of the courses will get a little bit more in depth, because again, as the students grow through 7th and 8th grade, we are trying to prepare them for high school. We're trying to garner some interest, see where their interests lie, so that as they schedule then at the high school level with a lot more course offerings, they might already have an interest or two and be guided a little bit better throughout that process. Now, what is different for our 5th through 8th grade is our exploratory elective rotations. Again, we found this year that with our 5th grade, they have 1 full rotation of mandatory classes, and their exploratory rotation is that of an academic advisory period. Now, for most of you, or for anybody that might know a 5th or 6th grader this year, if you ask them what academic advisory period is, they would tell you that it's a study hall, or what we knew as a study hall. Actually, that's partly true. They do have some time to get any type of coursework done in that class that they may not have finished during their regular scheduled class, or get a jump on their homework for that particular evening. Please understand, though, that we utilize that class hopefully for some enrichment, definitely for some remediation points as well. If your child is going to select a music such as band or orchestra, this is when the band and orchestra teachers will be able to pull those students during this time, so that they're not missing any content or academic time from their schedule, but instead are getting pulled from this academic advisory period so that there is no coursework makeup for them, and they can schedule them a little bit easier. Anybody that chooses Band 5 will get basically placed into the same academic advisory period so that the band teacher can pull those students based off of the instrument or instruments that they're playing. So for example, if the brass instruments have Tuesday and Friday practices, they would all be scheduled for academic advisory at the same time, so the band teacher could easily schedule them at that time. And then as well, we do the same for our orchestra students, again, allowing Mr. Person to have that same flexibility and schedule in that same way. The music course options for this year are limited to band and orchestra. Because of the general music requirement for all students, we do not have choir in 5th grade, but please know that that is a possibility then as the students progress, not only through general music, and hopefully if singing is something that does pique their interest, it is something that they can be a part of in grades 6, 7, and 8. But again, for grade 5, we will give each student the option of playing a band or an orchestra instrument. This is something that I'm assuming or guessing for most students has already started in 4th grade. So if that is something that a student, your child wants to continue as they move into Mossad Middle School, we are going to be sending out a Google form for all parents and the students of our 4th grade to fill out. It's a very simple form. It's going to include just the student name, the current elementary building that they are in, And then if they are choosing to continue in band this year or want to play in the band, I'm sorry, for next year, they would choose that option. If they would want to choose orchestra, and then obviously if they are not interested in band or orchestra, they would check no music option. Again, they would still have to take general music as part of their mandatory elective, but they would not be placed into band or orchestra at that time. And again, a little bit about what I had just talked about. Briefly, every student in grade 5 will need to complete that Google form by Friday, April 29th. That form will be sent out to all of our current 4th grade students tomorrow. So please be expecting that to be sent out to you. Again, very simple form, just 3 questions on it. We would ask that you fill it out as soon as you get it, but please understand that you have up into next Friday, April 29th to complete it. Again, the importance of filling this out is just to make sure that our band students are scheduled during the same period next year for their academic advisory, as well as our Orchestra 5 students. And then this way, that makes it a little bit easier on our teachers when they're planning for those lessons. We do ask as well that again, the decision that you do make, that it is something that hopefully we stick with. We obviously, as we're doing our scheduling now here in the spring, and we'll continue on through the summer, we have staffing concerns that we have to make sure that we have each class filled appropriately so that we do not have class sizes that are too large, or the opposite of that, classes that only have 2 or 3 students in them. So we do ask that there is some thought process put into this. We understand that at times, especially with students that are coming into 5th grade, you know, their love for playing the trumpet or the violin might die off a little bit throughout the year. But we do ask that you do try to give it, you know, that full year to hopefully give it a full try. And certainly that's something then as they move into 6th grade, they'll know whether they love it and want to continue in the band or orchestra, or whether they you know, they've had enough of that and maybe want to try choir or just try something else different than our music options. Another option that will be available to all of our incoming 5th grade students next year is our Gateway Cyber program. We know and realize over the past few years now, the cyber program, our GATE program, and then in person has seen a lot of students kind of, you know, meander through each program as not only the pandemic kind of came through, but just as students and parents saw that these options were viable options, you know, for them as a family. It is our understanding right now that the GATE option will not be available next year for students at the middle school level. But please understand that in addition to the in-person option that we've been talking about so far this evening, that Gateway Cyber is going to be, you know, alive and well next year, and will be housing, you know, some of our 5th and 6th grade students. If that is an option that your child would like, or that you would like your child to pursue, that is something that obviously you're going to be able to do. You would contact Dr. Marcy Klinger, as you can see her email on this page. If you would have any questions or concerns, certainly you can contact us at the building level as well. If you have interest in the Gateway Cyber program, and we can put you in contact with Dr. Klinger. Please understand that our cyber program, as it stands right now for our 5th through 8th grade students, encompasses ELA, math, science, and social studies. So basically the 4 core courses. We are not offering any elective classes at this time. If your child does choose the cyber program, that is something to keep in mind as they're, you know, as you're making this decision, because again, we want to make sure that they're focused on their core courses if they're enrolled in this program. Certainly, if they start out in the cyber program, we do ask next year that each student at least stays in the program for a grading period before they would enroll back into in-person courses, if that's a decision that you want to make. Likewise, if you would start in an in-person format, and after the 1st grading quarter, you would want to move into cyber, that is something that we could obviously, do for you as well. But we do ask just for the continuity of education. It is difficult when a student moves, in the middle of a grading quarter, because although the standards are the same, the curricular materials that are used in our cyber program as opposed to in person do differ slightly. So it makes that transition a little bit more difficult for teachers and students alike. We will be holding a student orientation in the summer. We hope that is going to finally be an in-person event for us. I know after the last couple of years, we would certainly and are certainly looking forward to being to seeing everybody in person and kind of giving this presentation to everybody as they're actually sitting live in our building. Not only because we get to see the students and the students get to meet us, but more than that, because then the students do get to walk around the building. They get to walk their schedule at that time, see where their classes are going to be located. And again, hopefully just generate that beginning of the year excitement that we normally see at our student orientation. Certainly, we will invite all of our 5th grade students in at the date that you see below, Tuesday, August 16th. It will be all 5th grade students, as well as any student that's going to be new to our building for this year. We approximate, so we're going to guess that it's about an hour in length. Usually the student presentation lasts for about 30 minutes, and then we allow for 30 minutes of a student orientation where we will have adults and students, older students alike, taking our 5th grade students around and kind of showing them where their classes are at. Self-guided tours to follow means that obviously if parents would want to come after that fact, or after our orientation is finished, if they still want to walk the building, after that, certainly you would be allowed to do so at that time. To try to keep things even and just keep the numbers of people in the building to a manageable level, we do have letters, so last letters of or letters of the last name, we do have assigned to each time. Please understand though, if your last name is Smith, we were not going to be checking IDs at the door. If it is easier for you to come at the 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock session, certainly that's something that that we would encourage. We just want to see as many students there as possible, so that again they can find out a little bit about the building, hopefully see some of their friends from their elementary school, meet some new friends from some of the neighboring elementary schools within Gateway, and then find out a little bit about where their classes are, so that they feel a little bit less anxiety on that first day, of school this year. We will have self-guided tours happening the following day. Again, this is open to our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students. But the more we had talked about it as an administrative team, we thought that it would be a good idea to include 5th grade as well. Again, we understand that going from a building of 250 to 300 students to a building that's going to have over 1,000 students, there's going to be a certain level of anxiety for both students and parents alike. So again, if you can't make the orientation the day prior to that, or even if you can, but your child feels a little bit better if they just come back one more day and kind of walk their schedule and see the building again, we are going to have the building open most of the day on Wednesday, August 17th, again, for self-guided tours. We will also have the building then open 2 hours that evening, just again, for working parents. We understand that if that time's a little bit easier for you, we wanted to try to be as flexible as possible. And again, those 2 dates that we already talked about, the 16th and 17th, we'll be sending out invitations to you. So, I mean, certainly you can write those down now as kind of save the dates, but we'll have, we'll have invites going out to everybody and communication going out to everyone, not only at the end of the school year this year, but throughout the summer, just to make sure that everybody is kind of reminded of these dates. Again, I've kind of given it away for the building level tours. The student schedules will definitely be completed by this time, so your child will be able to, to walk their schedule. They'll be able to know what classrooms they're going to be in, who their teachers will be, etc. So hopefully that will take some anxiety away as well. First day of school right now is planned for August 25th for the upcoming school year. and then a couple dates that we put on for dates of importance, specifically to the people that are joining us this evening. September 28th will be our open house for 5th and 6th grade students. We did want to kind of end, before we get into your specific questions, just about some or with some frequently asked questions from Mossside Middle School. These are things that came up last year as we opened the new 5 through 8 building, or I should say made Mossside Middle School the temporary 5 through 8 building this past year as well. A lot of parents this year were asking these questions, so we thought it was important maybe to address some of them before we get into our Q&A session, because chances are you might have some of these questions, so hopefully we can just answer those for you. As far as participating in sports offered in Mossside Middle School, right now, unfortunately, even though we're a 5 through 8 building, only our 7th and 8th grade students are able to participate in sports that are offered there. And again, this is not a gateway rule. This is unfortunately a WPIAL rule. So 5th and 6th grade students, hopefully we do have some clubs and activities, as you can see in the next question, that they will be able to participate in. But unfortunately, the organized sports per the WPIAL would just be for our 7th and 8th grade students. What do I do if my child's device is broken or if he or she needs a device? Hopefully this is something that you know already through your elementary schools, but hopefully you are contacting the technology help desk. That's a number that certainly throughout the summer, if something happens to your child's iPad, please feel free, sorry about that. So please feel free to contact them throughout the summer and or the school, Mossside Middle School, and we can put you in touch with them, excuse me, so that, your child has a working iPad to start the school year. This is something that we found from our 5th grade parents last year, so we wanted to address. As far as birthday treats and balloons, again, we still want to recognize birthdays. Certainly, I think, friends, teachers, hopefully if we know about it as well, we're still wishing each of our students happy birthdays as they're walking through the hallways. Some of them are dressed in the appropriate attire with the sashes that say it's my birthday or birthday student. But that said, we don't want to get into the habit of continuing with the birthday treats. That is something, because we have a 9-period day, because it is more of a secondary building, we do want to kind of stay away from that practice. So we would ask that you kind of help us out with that, because unfortunately, any type of birthday treat or balloons, etc., won't be accepted into the building. Finding out about activities and events that are going on in the school, that's something that we're still going to utilize Skyward for Sky Blasts. We want our Mossside Middle School website to be able to communicate some of that information to you as well. We started a new Mossside Middle School Facebook page. That was something that started probably within the last month or so. We realized that unfortunately, or I don't want to put the onus on the other 2 principals, I realized that I was behind the times, and they were more than willing to kind of push me forward into that. So that's something that I greatly appreciate. And again, that's why we work as a team doing this, because I think, again, the number of views that we see on Facebook, we realize that that's a very viable way of being able to communicate what's going on within the school building. As far as a visitor or a parent gaining access to the building, that's something that we've always taken very serious at Mossside, and of course, due to recent events, something that we continue to look at and make sure that we have, proper procedures in place. If you are visiting Mossside for any reason, the normal reasons that we see are if you're dropping off your child is coming in late, or if you're picking them up for an early dismissal, you do need to scan your photo ID. The red box is outside of our building, so you will need to scan that and state the reason for the visit. You will be permitted inside, just into the lobby area. It is a locked area, so you cannot get into the building nor the office from that point. If you are signing your child out for an early dismissal, the sign out actually resides out in the lobby. So that we ask that you sign out your child, and then you may wait there for them, or you may go right back outside, and we'll make sure that your child makes it out to you. If you are visiting for a different reason, if you have a scheduled meeting or another reason in the building, certainly we will permit you into the office, at which time you will get an ID, photo ID that will be printed from you scanning your ID outside at the red box, and then you will be escorted through the building by district personnel. In all likelihood, one of the principals, will take you to your destination and make sure that again, you get there safely. Kind of along the same lines with birthday treats, we've had some questions about bringing outside food into the district. So McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, et cetera. You can name your favorite fast food restaurant here. We do not permit that within Moside Middle School. Again, this year, I'm not sure what the situation will be for next school year yet, but this year, all of our students are eligible for a free lunch from the school. So that is something that that we do try to promote. We don't want outside food coming into the building, just because it creates more of a hassle, truthfully, for us. So please be mindful of that. That you're more than welcome to to obviously pack your child's lunch, but we do ask that this isn't a lunchtime surprise that's being delivered to them. Will metal detectors be used? This is something different than what is the norm at the elementary level. Because of the number of students that come into Moside and the ages of those students, yes, we do use metal detectors. If you have older children that are in the building now, they can attest to the fact that there are random checks that go on a daily basis. As students get off the buses, they are brought into the gymnasium. We have 2 metal detectors that are set up, one on either side of the gym. And again, we do bring through a number of students each morning. Again, this is just to help ensure the building safety, making sure that that anything coming into the building is safe for students and staff. At that time, we do search backpacks and belongings. So backpacks, purses, any type of bags, anything that's on a student, we do look through. And again, I say it's usually principals and any type of school staff that's assigned to metal detectors for that particular year. It goes very smoothly. Like I said, students kind of get into a routine. It's difficult for probably the first few days to a week, but then after that, I think they understand and truly appreciate it as well, because they understand the ultimate meaning of that is to keep them safe and their classmates safe as well. And then finally, I would ask all of the parents here. I know that being a former elementary principal, becoming involved in the child's school is something that's extremely important at the elementary level. And then we see some of that kind of wane at the middle school level, because again, it's secondary. I think that's just kind of a natural process. But please know that that's not necessarily what we want. We think it's paramount for our parents to be a part of the school process. Any type of communication that we can have with them, any bond that we create is something that again is just going to benefit not only our students but our whole entire school. So we want to encourage that parental involvement. Probably the easiest way to do this, please become a member of our FTO. I know even if you don't have time necessarily to be an officer or to help run some of the events, just being a part of that process, again, knowing what's going on in the building, helping out on a day or two that you might have or that you might be permitted, to do. That's something that again just strengthens that process, makes our school that much better, because then what we can offer to the students based off of the volunteer help and just interest in the building itself. So at this time, I am completely talked out. That is the complete end of the presentation piece of this. But as I had stated prior to this, we do want to allow time for any type of questions and answers that you might have for any of us. We'll do our best to answer those this evening. Certainly, if there are answers that we don't have, we will get back to you. I would start as well with, if those questions are specific just to your child, we're going to be posting this this presentation to our website. I would strongly encourage you, if the questions are more personal or are more individualized to your child, please just reach out to one of the principals, one of us. Our email would probably be the easiest way to do that. And you can ask that question there. This way, it just makes the process a little bit easier, and then we can get back to you with more specific answers too.
Mr. Jack, I'll jump
Yes.
in as well.
Please.
Hi, I'm Melissa Cheslock. I'm one of the principals at the middle school. Just wanted to talk a little bit about students with IEPs in special education services. If you need assistance, with those meetings, speaking to roster teachers, talking to the talking specifically about their scheduling, that's more an individualized conversation due to ensuring their IEPs are met. So please utilize the phone numbers and emails on the presentation, because we can set up meetings, possibly do some transitions, and walk you through that process for your child specifically.
Mr. Jack, we have questions about, can students signed up for both orchestra and choir? And then also about parent drop off and pickup, what the process is.
We'll start, I guess, with the orchestra and choir. The simple answer to that is yes. They can do both orchestra and choir. What I would suggest when you get the Google form, I would choose one. Chances are we're going to have to be a little bit creative with the scheduling piece of it, because again, we try to schedule academic advisory for all of our orchestra students during the same period, and then academic advisory for all of our band students at a different period. But I do know that our music teachers work extremely well together, so I'm fairly certain that that we can make that work, because again, at the fifth grade level, a lot of the band and orchestra are still lessons. So we could be, like I said, we can have a creative process to make that happen for them. So I would definitely pick one on the Google form, and then just email one of us, one of the principals, and express, just include the student's name and the fact that you want to do both, and that will work. Was that percussion?
I answered it, yeah.
Oh, you answered. Oh, perfect.
The other question was the drop off and pickup procedures. I can answer that a little bit. So students that are dropped off, I believe it's door 19. If you're facing Moss Side Middle School, it's going to be the door to the right. It's an overhang. Parents will drop off at that door. There will be teachers in front escorting the kids from their cars, obviously, to the building, in monitoring the traffic flow. Regarding pickup in the afternoon, parents will line up towards the back of the building. So you would approach that area by passing Moss Side Middle School on your right and making a right towards administration, and the cars will line up in that process, in that procession. Students report to the cafeteria that are being picked up by parents, and we do ask parents to notify the office, because we keep a running list who are daily students that are picked up. They report to the cafeteria, and we have a number of staff members making sure that when the parents arrive and we see the vehicle, the child gets in the vehicle. Now, there is some wait time, because we do make the parents wait until a wave of buses pulls out. So someone will be directing parents, obviously, that they can pull out once a number of buses leave. I would give some wiggle time the first week or two of school because transportation in general lags behind a little bit until students can get used to the routine.
There's a question about how will the students know which classroom to go to. The room number is on the schedules that the students will receive. Students will receive a printed schedule, and it's also going to be on their Skyward account. So every room is assigned a room number, and then they'll know which room number to go to based on their schedule.
I was going to say, I see the dropping off and picking up daily. We'll ask for, yes, we'll ask for a letter at the beginning of the year. What we've done with that this year, we found that getting those letters, and then I believe Mrs. Love, we gave numbers to the cars, correct? So that just helped us with the process of making sure that the students were being escorted out to their, to their parents' vehicles, or whoever was picking them up, matching the student's number with the vehicle number. Just again, so we were kind of ensuring safety, taking that one extra step. So I would say for the first day or two, we're going to be walking students out. It's going to be a lot more of a guarded process. But yes, just write a letter within that first week, and we'll make sure that, that you were put on the list, that you do receive a number, and then, that process will go very smoothly, hopefully. Okay, I was going to say we'll hang out for another minute or two, but certainly we want to be mindful of your time here this evening. We do appreciate you taking the time tonight and kind of joining us. We are excited to get your children, obviously our new fifth graders, into the building. Hopefully follow through with the norm. I think we finally started that a little bit this year, but hopefully get back into a space that is completely normal. Like I said, hopefully starting in the summertime with that orientation process being in person. And then certainly between now and then, if you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to the building, any of us three, and we'll be able to answer those for you. Again, the Google form you can expect tomorrow, and we would just ask that you have that completed by next Friday. And I don't see any other questions. So again, thank you for your time this evening, and have a good night. Oh. Competency test or quiz tests?
I mean, the students in grades 5 through 8 would be taking the PSSA exams at the end of the school year. That would be the one culminating test at the end of the year that all the students would take.
That is a great question. Probably something. Oh, go ahead, Mrs. Cheslock.
Oh, no, go ahead. I was just.
Oh, okay. Probably as far as materials, what we've told students in the past, any basic school materials are sufficient. If you want to get a couple notebooks, pencils, etc., I would probably hold off a little bit. Some teachers are going to be a little bit more specific as to what they would like students to get. So we'll be sending out some communications throughout the summer to hopefully help you with that process a little bit. So I would just ask if you wouldn't mind, just kind of hold off on that a little bit. Maybe don't buy anything yet. Hopefully once some of the school supplies start going up in some of our local stores here in the summertime, you'll have an email or some type of communication from the building giving you a little bit better information as to what's needed for each grade level. Okay. All right. Well, I think we're going to end the meeting at this time. So again, thank you all for joining us tonight.